Hello, YouTube. It's me, John Avenger, once again, and welcome to another sequel slash prequel month. And this is going to be a review of the sequel to the 1978 classic from Warner Brothers. When they gave a shit about their superhero films, and that is Superman 2. And yet, this is the theatrical cut of the film, not the Donner cut that came out 10 years ago on DVD and Blu-ray. And I have never seen that cut. I'm reviewing the theatrical cut because to me there is no difference. It's just a few scenes they added here and there. The plot is exactly the same. So I'm gonna just review the theatrical cut because that's the cut I saw as a kid, and it's still a great movie. No matter where you cut it, no matter how you slice it, it's still bread. In a way. Anyway, that's my analogy of that. Superman 2. What can I say that hasn't been said? This is the classic sequel, the best sequel of the Superman films. I have not seen it in years, but I remember it from my childhood. I remember watching it on TV with my mom and my sister. I remember how fun it was. It definitely has more action than the first film. It doesn't have all the buildup that the first film had. It advances the plot. That's what a sequel should do. It furthers the relationship between Superman and Lois Lane. He gives up his powers. Spoiler alert, he becomes Clark Kent and he has no powers. He wants to give up his, immortality for Lois. And, he does tries to do everything he can to be with Lois. And they have a night together. Of course, that leads into Superman Returns, when she has a baby, etc. And anyway, the film is awesome. It's an early '80s movie. It still has that great John Williams score. I think the direction is fine. With the either cut of the film, Lester or Donner's, the film looks great. Like his costume still looks awesome. The three Kryptonians that go up against him, it gave Superman a villain that was actually, it was a formidable bunch of people from his planet that fight against him, and he beats all of them up, and it's awesome because Lex Luthor can't fight on his own. Let's face it, Gene Hackman's great, but he pretty much takes a side. He's a side villain, and the Kryptonians are the real villains. So you have Zod, and I think it's Ursa or something like that, and then you have that tall guy. I forgot what his name was. He has the beard, but I remember them. I think the fight scenes in the second half of the film are amazing. They still hold up. I don't care how old the movie is; it still looks great. The sound effects are great. The flying sequences are still awesome. It has a fast pace to it. It doesn't take an hour for the Kryptonians to show up. Terrence Stamp is General Zod. You cannot replace that man. I'm sorry. You can replace Lex Luthor. You can replace Superman. You can replace Lois. You can replace Jimmy Olsen, but you cannot replace Zod. Terrence Stamp is Zod. Kneel before Zod. He's freaking amazing. Just his face is threatening enough. Like the guy doesn't have to be over the top. Like the freaking Zod we got in Man of Steel, which was so laughable. I will find him, and I'm like, oh god, that was so stupid. At least here, Terrence Stamp plays it cool. He is a worthy villain to fight off against Superman. And the ending, when him and Superman fight, and then when Clark Kent gets his powers back and he crushes his hand and takes him into the air and throws him down the freaking into the cliff. That's awesome. That's more badass than when in Man of Steel than when he breaks his freaking neck, which is it's dark and it was like that wasn't necessary. That was just too much. Here, it's light in tone. It doesn't have to be dark and serious. It's a fun movie. It's held up for the last 20 something years, almost 30 years now, because it came out, I think, in 1980 or 1981. I'm not that great with dates, but it was the early '80s. It's a great sequel. No matter what cut you see, I know the studio, once again, Warner Brothers, you're always a bunch of hacks, interfering with a director's vision. Don't do that. Stop it. You're going to ruin your freaking universe if you keep doing this with your interference, cutting the movie or interfering with the freaking cast and editing stuff out. You don't need to do that. Let the directors and the filmmakers do their job. Stop interfering. It's thanks to these freaking studio execs that movies get cut to shit in the first place. It's not like this movie was rated R. It was PG. It was very family friendly. It's not gory. There's a scene where Clark, he doesn't have his powers anymore, and this guy beats him up in the diner. I remember that when I was a kid. I was like, wow, he really is, mortal without his powers. But then at the end, when he gets his powers back and he throws the guy, I think it's near a pinball machine or something like that, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I've been lifting weights." I miss Christopher Reeve, man. This is my Superman. You cannot replace him with some frowny face douchebag Superman that doesn't give a shit about anybody and has dark colors and is brooding. I don't need that. I'm sorry. Cavill does nothing for me. He makes me limp. Reeve was light. He was nerdy when he wore the glasses. I bought him. Also, when he saves that kid that falls off the into the waterfall, that's awesome. Still, that's still very heroic. If it was Cavill, he would let him drown. And I'm like, yeah, I want my Superman to have some life to him. He's alien, but he's not a freaking tyrant. And he's not an anti-hero either. Batman is. And I just love this movie. It's a good sequel. I don't have it because I haven't bought the other Superman films. I need to get the original, of course, and the second one and the third one. Four is a piece of garbage. I might rant on it, but who knows? But this is about two. Two is a good sequel to the first one. You got most of the cast come back. You got Ned Beatty, and you got Gene Hackman, and you got Margot Kidder, who was amazing as Lois, a beautiful actress from Canada. Just love women from there. She's so natural. She doesn't force it. She doesn't look like she's ready to cry like what's her face? Amy Adams, who I think is gorgeous, but she's not Lois to me. She's not even a brunette. Lois is a brunette, like me. Okay, and Jimmy Olsen, I always like to see that actor. I think it's Mark McClure. I liked him in Back to the Future. I think he's a good actor, and I even like that his character is in Supergirl, the TV show, is played by another actor, but I think he made a cameo in that because see, DC, when you do something right on television, people will watch it. If you interfere, you get disasters like what we had this year with Suicide Squad, editing that to shit, which that sucks. And then with BVS, the same thing. I'm just saying, just let the filmmakers make the movies. Then we get awesome movies like that, which I love to death. But anyway, this is not about Marvel. This is about DC. Superman 2 is great. If you have not seen this movie, watch it. I recommend the first film and this one, because they're they're legendary DC films. If it wasn't for the success of these films, we wouldn't have had Batman 89. We wouldn't have Man of Steel. We would not have Green Lantern. We would not have Wonder Woman, which is coming out next year. And yes, I'm looking forward to it, haters. Suck a dick. Oh, it's Captain America. It's a woman. Shut your face. You stupid YouTubers out there with glasses. Winkety wink wink. Yeah. Luckily, that's not a knock on any of my friends from my group. Tevya, Parker, and Sean and Brian. No, it's they don't wear glasses, but you know who you are. Okay, lay off. DC is gonna try something next year, and Superman 2. There's a reason that people regard this as one of the greatest DC movies ever made. It's good. It's not perfect. Both cuts of the film, the Lester cut or it's a little sillier, like they said, and the Donner cut is a much darker. And I think like the Zod gets arrested instead of dies. I think that's one of the changes, and also the way that Superman gives up his powers is different too. And I think there's more scenes with Jor El. That's most of the stuff they added. I don't know because I haven't seen the cut yet, but I will. But to be honest, is the movie good on its own, no matter what cut of it? Yes. Superman 2 is awesome. See it. Don't bother with Man of Steel. It's boring as hell. This movie did it so much better. It had the Kryptonians. The fights didn't look like a freaking anime that's on speed in a bad way. It's like Dragon Ball Z, but it's just way too. The camera shakes so much, and the fights, it's like I want to see what's going on. I want to see the punches. I want to see them go through buildings, and see it, not see a CG figure of that. I want to see Superman flying and it looks epic and majestic and have that kick ass score by John Williams. That's how you do it. Just like this movie. Man of Steel wishes it was Superman, the movie, and Superman 2, and even Superman 3. That gets a lot of shit, but I will defend that. I'm going to review that next, coming up soon for sequel month, because sequel month is almost halfway done. So, anyway, Superman 2 is good. It's a good sequel. Watch it, and either cut of the film is great. I mean, even if the Donner cut is not your cup of tea, I think the Lester cut is just as good. The acting's good, it's well shot, it's well directed, it's well paced. It doesn't take an hour for something to happen. It doesn't have horrible CGI, and it's a light tone. That's what I want for Superman, a light earth tone. Because everything is so dark now, it seems like we don't know what color a movie is anymore. It's just like, it's got to be dark and gritty. No, let's make it lighter. It's dark and gritty. There's two sides to every coin, but in this one, I think the light side works just fine. Anyway, that's my defending of Superman 2. I think it's a really good sequel. Watch it. Like I said, you can stream it online. It's everywhere online now. And it is a good sequel. That's why it's on sequel month. Anyway, thanks for liking, subscribing, commenting, watching my videos. You guys are awesome. Thanks for leaving your comments in my channel. I will keep reviewing stuff because I love doing this on YouTube. Not for money, but for my fans and for entertainment value. That's why I'm here. Anyway, thanks for watching and take care.